The marble floors of Peterson Financial Tower gleamed under the warm afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Marcus Williams pushed his cleaning cart slowly down the wide corridor, the soft squeak of its wheels echoing in the quiet space. His navy blue uniform was crisp and clean, pressed with care that morning before his shift began. At 32, Marcus had worked as a janitor in this gleaming tower for 3 years, long enough to know every corner, every shadow, every secret the building held. The executive floor was usually peaceful at this hour. Most of the important people had gone home to their families, leaving behind empty offices filled with the lingering scent of expensive coffee and leather furniture. Marcus preferred these quiet hours. They gave him time to think about his own family waiting at home, specifically, his 7-year-old daughter Emma, who would be finishing her homework at their neighbor Mrs. Chen's apartment. As Marcus rounded the corner near the executive conference room, he heard something that made him stop. It was a sound that every parent recognizes instantly, the quiet, shuddering sobs of a child trying not to cry. He set down his spray bottle and listened carefully. The sound was coming from behind a large marble pillar near the reception area. Moving quietly in his soft-soled work shoes, Marcus peered around the column. There, sitting on the polished floor with her back against the cold marble, was a little girl. She looked to be about Emma's age, maybe 8 or 9. Her blonde hair was pulled back in an expensive-looking headband, and she wore a pristine white dress that probably cost more than Marcus made in a week. But despite her fancy clothes, she looked utterly lost and afraid. The little girl's shoulders shook as she hugged her knees to her chest. Tears rolled down her flushed cheeks, and her breathing came in quick, panicked gasps. Marcus recognized the signs immediately. He had seen Emma have similar episodes when she was overwhelmed or scared. Without hesitation, Marcus knelt down a few feet away from the girl, careful not to startle her. His voice was gentle and warm, the same tone he used when Emma had nightmares. "Hey there," he said softly. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" The little girl looked up at him with wide, tear-filled blue eyes. She shook her head but didn't say anything, just continued to sob quietly. Marcus sat down cross-legged on the floor, not caring that his uniform might get dusty. He reached into his cart and pulled out a small container of bubble solution, something he always carried for moments when Emma visited him at work during school breaks. "You know what?" Marcus said, unscrewing the bubble wand. "I think this place needs some magic right about now." He dipped the wand into the solution and blew gently. A stream of perfect, shimmering bubbles floated into the air between them. They caught the afternoon light, creating tiny rainbows that danced and spun before popping silently against the marble walls. The girl's crying slowed as she watched the bubbles with fascination. Marcus blew another stream, this time making bigger bubbles that drifted lazily across the corridor. One particularly large bubble floated right toward the girl. She reached out instinctively and popped it with her finger, a tiny smile flickering across her tear-stained face. "That's it," Marcus encouraged softly. "Sometimes we all need a little magic to help us feel better." He continued blowing bubbles, creating a gentle parade of floating spheres that filled the space around them. The girl's breathing began to slow and deepen. Her shoulders relaxed, and she wiped her nose with the back of her hand. "My name is Marcus," he said, still creating bubbles. "What's yours?" "Sophia," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible. "That's a beautiful name," Marcus replied. "Are you here with your mom or dad, Sophia?" Sophia nodded toward the closed conference room doors. "Mommy's in a big meeting. She's been in there forever, and I got scared because there were so many people talking loud, and I couldn't find her assistant anywhere." Marcus understood now. This little girl had wandered out of wherever she was supposed to wait and gotten lost in the maze of corridors. The corporate world could be intimidating even for adults, let alone a child. "Well, those bubbles are pretty special," Marcus said, blowing a few more. "They have a way of making scary places feel friendlier. Want to try?" He offered her the bubble wand, and Sophia hesitantly took it. Her first attempt produced only a few small bubbles, but Marcus cheered as if she had performed magic. "Perfect. You're a natural bubble maker," he said with genuine enthusiasm. For the next several minutes, they sat together on the marble floor, taking turns with the bubble wand. Sophia giggled when Marcus showed her how to make extra-large bubbles by blowing very slowly and steadily. Her earlier panic had completely disappeared, replaced by the simple joy of play. Neither of them noticed the tall, elegant woman in the expensive gray suit who had emerged from the conference room and was now standing quietly in the shadows, watching the scene unfold. Catherine Morrison, CEO of Morrison Industries and one of the city's most successful businesswomen, had been searching frantically for her daughter after discovering she had left the small office where she was supposed to wait. Catherine had expected to find Sophia scared and alone, possibly causing a scene that would embarrass them both. Instead, she found her daughter laughing and playing with a janitor who had somehow transformed what could have been a traumatic experience into a moment of pure childhood wonder. She watched as Marcus patiently taught Sophia different bubble-blowing techniques, his voice kind and encouraging. She saw how he had positioned himself at her daughter's eye level, treating her not as an inconvenience or a problem to be solved, but as a person worthy of his time and attention. "Mommy," Sophia called out when she finally spotted her mother approaching. "Look, Marcus taught me how to make giant bubbles." Catherine walked over slowly, her high heels clicking softly on the marble floor. Marcus immediately began to stand, clearly recognizing that this impeccably dressed woman was someone important, but Catherine held up a gentle hand. "Please," she said, her voice warmer than Marcus had ever heard from any of the executives. "Don't get up on my account." She knelt down beside them, not caring that her expensive suit might wrinkle or that her employees might see their CEO sitting on the floor. "I'm Catherine Morrison," she said, extending her hand to Marcus. "And you've just saved both my daughter and my sanity." Marcus shook her hand, still somewhat stunned. "Just Marcus Williams, ma'am. I'm glad Sophia is feeling better." "You have children of your own?" Catherine asked, watching as Sophia continued to blow bubbles with intense concentration. "A daughter, Emma. She's 7, Marcus replied. "About the same age as Sophia here." Catherine nodded thoughtfully. She had built her entire career on recognizing quality and potential, and she could see both in abundance in this kind janitor who had treated her daughter with such genuine care. "Marcus," she said carefully, "would you be interested in discussing a different kind of position? Something that would allow you to use these natural gifts with children more directly?" Marcus looked confused. "Ma'am, I've been looking for someone to head up the children's program at our new community center. Someone who understands kids, who can connect with them when they're scared or upset. Someone who carries Bubble Solution in his work cart just in case." Catherine smiled. "The salary would be significantly more than what you're making now. And there would be full benefits, including college funding for Emma." Marcus stared at her, the bubble wand still in his hand. I don't understand. You turned what could have been a terrible experience for my daughter into something magical," Catherine explained. "That's not a skill you learn in business school, Marcus. That's something you either have or you don't. And you have it." Sophia looked up at both adults. "Does this mean Marcus can teach more kids how to make bubbles?" Catherine laughed, a sound that was surprisingly musical in the corporate corridor. "I think that's exactly what it means, sweetheart." As the three of them sat together on the marble floor, surrounded by the last few floating bubbles catching the golden afternoon light, Marcus realized that sometimes the most important moments in life happen in the most unexpected places. And sometimes, all it takes is a little kindness and a bottle of Bubble Solution to change everything. The gleaming tower around them suddenly felt less like a cold corporate fortress and more like a place where magic could happen, where a single dad with a gentle heart could find new hope, and where a little girl's tears could transform into laughter that echoed through marble halls. Marcus smiled and blew one more stream of bubbles into the air, watching them dance toward the ceiling like tiny, shimmering promises of better days ahead.